So the U.S. Senate race, as of right now, the U.S. Senate is 50-50 with Kamala Harris as a tiebreaker. So it's it's controlled by Democrats just barely. As of right now, again, I don't see anything on this map that looks wrong. This is how I think it's going to play out. Basically, the Real Clear Politics average, I think, is pretty solid here. I don't see any Senate races going different than what's here already. The one that could be kind of maybe a little bit, maybe the Republican O'Day is, could pull that out in Colorado. But I think, like I said, the governor is going to pull that guy over the finish line to make sure. So there's that. But let's go ahead and get started on the races that are outstanding. I'm going to go in right now. Arizona and Nevada are going Republican. I'm going to go with that. I think they're going to go Republican. I am more confident on Nevada than I am Arizona. In fact, you know what? I'm going to come back to Arizona because like I said, I'm not as comfortable with Arizona right now. So I'm going to come back to Arizona. I think Wisconsin is going to go Republican. They have Ron Johnson is the incumbent there, and he's pulled ahead in recent polls. I think he's going that route. I think Georgia is going to go to Herschel Walker. Now, I am a little bit biased. My brother's friends with Herschel Walker. They used to be on the same fight team together, so I'm a little bit biased that way, but the polls, all the recent polls have Herschel Walker way up, especially since the debate that they had. I think right now in New Hampshire is another one of those states. It's like Minnesota. Whenever I think they're going to finally vote Republican, they vote blue, and Maggie Hassan is the incumbent Democrat senator. So I think it's going to stay blue in New Hampshire. So that's what it's looking like right now. Which brings me to my map. Now you might be saying, "Oh, Kirk, what about Washington? Washington is really, it could be up for play." I don't think so, because the Democrats went through and decided that they were going to pour money into Washington, because Patty Murray was looking like she was going to be able to get, she might have been able to get sniped off, but it didn't work out. So I think what's going to happen is that's going to solidify in Washington. She's going to take that race. But because they had to pour money into states that they didn't plan on having to defend, Pennsylvania and Arizona are, I think, the states that are going to be really up for grabs in the Senate. So as you can already see, I already think the Republicans are going to take the Senate. They're going to take control. And like I said, minimum 51. And that's because Pennsylvania and Arizona are the ones that I'm the least confident in. The reason being is that for Arizona, I think Kari Lake can pull Blake Masters over the finish line. But I think people have already sent, there's a lot of early voting in Arizona. And I think there might be a lot of people who already voted, and they voted for Kari Lake, but they might have just said, well, I'm not going to vote for Senate. So I think you might see some of that. You saw that in 2020. There was a lot of ballots, and you can say what you want about the election in Arizona in 2020. There were a lot of people who voted for Joe Biden, left the rest blank. So a lot of these states have recent history of voting for one person or voting for just a few people and leaving a lot of the ballot blank. So, it would not surprise me if something like that happens. But I think because Blake Masters has closed the distance so much on Mark Kelly, and some of the polls show that. In fact, let me pull those up. Oops, wrong one. Now you can see why I said Nevada was just going to go to Adam Laxalt. But let's go to Arizona. This lead keeps dwindling. Mark Kelly was up 5 points a month ago. So I really think that this is going to be something where in Arizona you're going to see a shift. Like I said, I think Kari Lake has the popularity and the charisma to be able to have a little bit of down ballot, tailcoats or coattails, and I think she's going to drag Blake Masters across the finish line. So I'm going to go with Blake Masters taking that seat. So I think that's going to be a Republican seat. And as of right now, it's kind of the saddest news. I'm happy that a Republican is going to win this seat, but I think it's really sad. And I check out my last video on what I think about this. John Fetterman should have never been allowed to run in this race, and yeah, it's just really sad that that's what's going on here. He has brain damage, and if you go and look at the debate, he was awful, and it's obviously affecting him. He's not going to be able to hold up. It says he's ahead 0.3 points. Republicans are notoriously undercounted in polling in Pennsylvania, and so I think right now, again, Insider Advantage is one of the polling places that I trust in general. They have Oz up by 3, and I think if they start coming out with more polls over this week, I think you're going to see Dr. Oz up a bit more than just 3. And so that's why I said earlier, it would not surprise me if the grassroots, if Mastriano, even if he doesn't win the governor's race, he might be the reason why Dr. Oz wins the Senate seat. And so I'm going to go, and because of that debate performance and how sad and upsetting it was to watch, I don't think anybody's going to actually vote for John Fetterman. Anybody who's undecided, I don't think they are. And in general, something you have to know about a lot of these elections, they will swing the undecideds when they go in there. They generally swing 2-1 against the incumbent party, against a party in power. So it's a vote the bums out kind of thing. So I'm going to go and say, as of right now, I'm leaning towards Dr. Oz winning that. So I've got the Senate, 53 Republicans, 47 Democrats. That's where I see it right now. This can change. I could be wrong about how polls might swing towards Republicans down the road. So we'll see how it goes. But this is how I'm seeing it right now. There are some states that I could see, really the only one that is really kind of up for grabs. New Hampshire could go Republican. I don't think it will at this time. Colorado has an very outside chance. I doubt it because they have a popular Democrat governor there that can help the Democrat senator. So yeah, this is how I'm seeing the Senate right now. Now, if you look at this map, this really should be a Democrat year. But Joe Biden has been such an awful president, and there's been so much dysfunction at the national level that I think it's turning out to be a Republican year, which means that the next Republican year, if it's 2024, I've got to look at who's up for Senate races then. It could get really ugly, like 2008 ugly, like the way 2008 was for Republicans, where it was really bad. I think they came out of 2008. The 2008 elections, I think Democrats had 59 Senate seats. I mean, I think you could see that after 2024 if things keep going the way they're going. But as of right now, this is where I'm thinking the polls are kind of leaning towards for this. The only other outlier I kind of see is in Utah. Evan McMullin, he's kept it close in that Senate race, kind of. I don't think there's a lot of polling on it, but let me see if I can find it. Yeah, Lee versus McMullin. Lee's ahead, but he's only ahead by like 5 points. Mike Lee in Utah should be ahead 10, 15 points. Evan McMullin is the Charlie Crist of Utah without the electoral success. All right. Evan McMullin tries to say he's a principled conservative, but he's also said that if he gets elected, he's going to caucus with the Democrats. He's going to vote with Democrats. That makes no sense whatsoever if you're a principled conservative. Mike Lee is a principled conservative, and it's absolutely ridiculous that Evan McMullin even is challenging him at all. It's really stupid. So if you're in Utah, don't vote for Evan McMuffin. All right, he's a snake in the grass is what he is. So Don't vote for that dumbass. All right. So.